Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Andrew Ellis. Curtis Wilkerson is out today, but appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as it's going to be our final show of 2025. Happy New Year's Eve to all of you out there, and hopefully you celebrate the new year in style, but also safely tonight. But we're going to have a lot of things to get into today, as it's going to be a little bit of a year in review, looking back on some of the greatest, highest, most fun moments of Razorback athletics, because there were some, contrary to popular belief, there were some good things. We'll also look back at some of the big moments too, get into the latest. It's what's going on in the sports world, get into your chats, have heavy hitters, all that great stuff. But Andrew, happy New Year's Eve. How are the vibes here on our last day of 2025?
The vibes are great, man. I mean, 2025 for me was an insane year and one of the better years of my life. We were talking about that the other day. And, I was thinking, I didn't wake up this morning on December 31st and immediately have this introspective, reflective thinking about the year type of thing. But the closer we've gotten to this show, and of course, what we're going to do for the most of this hour and a half is look back and reflect. I do find myself feeling a little bit good, I'm happy about the year, and I'm looking forward to talking about some of those moments. I actually remember one time Curtis told me, remember when is the lowest form of conversation. I remember him telling me that one time. I don't remember what the context was, but I've always thought about that, where I'm like, remember when. Now, it's actually my favorite form of conversation. So if it is the lowest, it's my favorite. And so I'm looking forward to reminiscing a little bit with you on today's show.
Yeah, I wish Curtis would have told me that when we did a segment called Remember Wednesday, literally once a week. So yeah, that's the lowest form of conversation. Let's make a segment out of it. But no, but it's fun. It's fun to reminisce, because that's the thing is right now we all know what starts here soon. We know that SEC basketball against Tennessee is on Saturday, and it's going to be just from then on out with basketball nonstop, 2 games a week from then on out. And then we know that, of course, the portal opens up for a couple of weeks, and how chaotic that's going to be for Razorback football. And so this is kind of the calm before the storm and getting ready for it, and the perfect time to go back and reflect on it. So we'll talk about with the Alumni Hall question of the day, but we'll have your chats too. And everybody, if you want to, just mention what was your favorite Razorback moment of 2025. We'll even take some Inside Arkansas moments, because we had some of our own over here if you want to. But just let us know in the chat which one you all felt like was the most fun and most entertaining and everything like that. And we have a poll question that mentions that too. But just, Andrew, we'll start right here, because we'll play through and go through some of it. We could do a chronological order or whatever it was. But from the Razorback perspective, what was your favorite moment? Not saying it's the best, not saying it's the most accomplished, but just your favorite personal moment of Razorback athletics of 2025.
So obviously, I have a brand to uphold, John. I'm the baseball guy. It's just kind of where my brain goes most of the time, which, by the way, recorded a banger bombastic podcast episode. If I do say so myself, that'll be out later today. But, my mind always goes to baseball. And so, when you ask that question, a bunch of baseball memories kind of come to mind. And I think about the 2025 season and going to Omaha. It's such a blast. And, of course, there was a pretty big, significant moment in Omaha. But I got to be honest, John, I think my favorite literal moment was in Lexington on February 1st this past year. Just that entire week was awesome too. And we look back and talk about that trip so often, but that moment of just a pure jubilation, and I'm sure I know we're going to play the video. That post-game show was awesome. Going out in Lexington and, us being out. I mean, we're old men, and we were out till 2, 3 in the morning, because it was just a celebration. And of course, the rest of the season, plays out the way it does. And I just feel like that moment was a huge turning point for not only that basketball team, but I feel like us as a company too. It's hard to top that. And the 2025 baseball season was maybe the best baseball season I've ever watched in my life. And there's a lot of moments that stick out, including one in particular. But for me personally, I did some reason I can't get past Lexington beating Kentucky and celebrating and dancing on their grave.
Trust me, I'm with you on that, man, because, you've seen Shawshank Redemption, right?
Of course.
Everybody has. That moment when that Andy Dufresne negotiates when they're cleaning the roof, and he's able to negotiate some beers for his friends. And they look and they're all drinking and having fun, but they look over at Andy and he's just got this weird look on his face of like satisfaction and not saying anything, just kind of staring. That's how I felt after the Kentucky game. It's just, I felt like Andy Dufresne just sitting there, not saying I had to do anything to celebrate or had to do anything, just this feeling of accomplishment and satisfaction and everything. And, let's not just, sugarcoat it. John Calipari is a massive reason of why we are where we're at today. Of course, us, and of course, our major content and how great it is each and every day. And, the hard work we put in. But the one for the John Calipari, stonks and him becoming a coach. Of course, that's what had Natty State really start blowing up. And then the next year, the Kentucky game, we were doing great things up until that point. But that was when the whole experience itself, not just the game, but knowing we're going, all three of us going into Lexington, all three of us got to get into the game, which was, the craziest atmosphere in Rupp Arena history, doing our shows from KS Bar, which, shout out to them because they didn't have to let us do that. They could have just said, no, screw you. You guys are Arkansas guys. But like they let us in there. The Kentucky fans, for the most part, were really nice to us. Like there was just so much about that whole time leading up to it. And I don't remember which day. Did we get up there on Wednesday or Thursday?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we wanted to make a whole thing out of it. And I'm glad we did. It worked out because it was pretty incredible. And so, you talked about some of the videos and all that, which I wish I could play highlights, but let's be honest, we can't because we'll get, demonetized and all that stuff. But you mentioned the post-game show. This was just, I wasn't a part of this. This was you and Curtis, but this was just so perfect as to why it started the way it did and summed it all up.
The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Oh, buddy. What's up, everybody? Welcome in to.
That may have been the best post-game start. Ooh, hold on a second. Best post-game start to any show that you could have had right there. Because I think y'all, that's the thing, is that's when you're pros. You nailed the energy. You nailed the atmosphere. You nailed the vibe. Because that's, I think, how every Razorback fan felt. And I know we talked about, I was like, I went on Feinbaum. I remember he said, he's like, what would happen? How would you feel if Arkansas won this game? I was like, I'd laugh because it's just so absurd. You guys nailed it right there at the Open.
I mean, it's a rare spot. And like, as a sports fan, you don't really want to be in that spot where if your team wins, it's funny. And frankly, Arkansas football is in that spot a lot. Like there were a lot of games this year where I'm like, dude, if Arkansas wins, our opponent, like that's going to be the worst moment of their lives. So like that dynamic played into it. But also it's like just the way that Kentucky fans, and, I run this bit into the ground all the time of setting expectations. And like, we go into these games and these seasons and we know what's on the line of, hey, if we reach this record, that was a good season. If we do this, and Kentucky fans had just set the bar so high. And we kind of knew in the moment leading up, like, hey, y'all are like extremely confident. And we didn't have much confidence in the Razorback team because they were 1-5, 1-6 in SEC play at that point. And so it's like we couldn't even really, we just had to eat it all week long. And you mentioned we were there Wednesday. We were just kind of having to smile and nod politely as Kentucky fans would look at us and be like, hey, you guys are in trouble. Hope you like the Cal thing. And like, it was kind of their week to make fun of us. And then it culminates with like the big win for Arkansas and us kind of realizing we literally woke up that day and did not think Arkansas was going to make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Let alone like beat Kentucky, let alone like go to the Sweet 16, do all this great stuff. We did not think Arkansas was going to go to the NCAA tournament. And then all of a sudden, a few hours go by, you beat Kentucky, you dance on their graves, huge road win. You see the Ken Palm numbers go up, you see the Torvik numbers go up, and we're like, holy cow, Arkansas probably is going to make the tournament now. You kind of knew this completely turned everything around. And I think for Kentucky fans, and I'm sure now knowing what they know, like they kind of realized that was a moment where they got the reality check. And it was a moment that we kind of hoped would happen, but I really don't think any of us truly expected it. And man, it was perfect. And believe it or not, we didn't plan the laugh. Like we did not sit there and go live and say, hey, when we go live, we're going to start laughing. I think Curtis knew in his brain, he was going to kind of chuckle a little bit. And then once I saw him chuckle, I just kind of started chuckling. And in the moment, we were like, this will be funny if we do this. But it really wasn't like a thing we talked about. It was just kind of like, let's just laugh. I mean, that's just how we felt in that moment.
Yeah, because it was hard not to, just because of all the stuff building up to it. And I think that's what made the moment would have been great no matter what. The game would have been great no matter what. But it's like you got to encompass everything about that, where as soon as the schedule comes out, and we see what the crap, you're only having at one game at Kentucky, you're not playing twice. And I'll never forget, like that day, I booked our flights the day the schedule came out. Because I'm like, that's something we're not missing. Because, hey, it could be a top 10 matchup. I remember thinking in my mind, I was like, that could be a top 10 game with Arkansas and Kentucky. Now, it wasn't, as you mentioned, but it was such a thing of like, you were down in the dumps. You were getting, all this stupid stuff with Field of 68 and other places where every time Cal like lost a game and then Mark Pope won a game, they put out the graphic like, it took 32 games for Cal at Kentucky to lose this mountain. Mark Pope won this game. And it's just like, it was so obnoxious. And everybody was just hating on Arkansas, hating on Cal. And then it just, the fact that it crescendoed up to that point. I got booed by the fans when I was going on the pregame show with Matt Jones of KSR. Like, it was just funny. And it just encapsulated everything. And it was definitely one that I'm so glad that us three got to experience it together. Cause that was like, I'm sure if Curtis went there by himself, it would have been great too. But like the fact that all three of us were there and got to be in the game and got to be a part of everything of it, it was just awesome. It was just absolutely awesome. So made some good friends there too. Met some cool people and people that were friends with Cal, even like Mayor John Black. He's a mayor that was a big Cal fan. So it was just so much fun, man, to be a part of that. And remember that was, how long ago is that now? Like 8 or 10 months ago, close to it, something like that. So
yeah, like almost exactly 10 months ago. That's
crazy.
Or 11 months.
Yeah,
I don't know. Math's hard for me. It's tough.
Yeah.
But what's funny about it is like, I know that the shoving it in BBN's face is like the most enjoyable part of this, right? And there's a lot of people on the internet, of course, who Hog fans that battle with Kentucky fans. And we've talked about this a lot, that in Lexington, a lot of those obnoxious, crazy Kentucky fans that you read tweets from on the internet, they're not real people that are in real life. You know what I mean? Like most of the people we met in Kentucky, there were certainly some that would give it to us, but like you can speak to this a little bit too. Like they were mostly pleasant people who like just love basketball, and sure, they had some animosity towards Cal, and sure, they definitely wanted to beat Cal, and they definitely wanted to beat Arkansas, and we're definitely enjoying our struggles, but they were just good people that loved their basketball team. And so it is kind of funny. Like I do still enjoy the shoving it in their face aspect of it, but more so than anything, man, I feel like a classic pro wrestling heel who like did the nut shot and then got the quick roll up or whatever. And it's like, you pulled a fast one. That's how it felt. Like, it's like, oh man, we pulled a fast one and we sprinted out of the ring before they could beat us up. And it's like, that's how it felt. Like we pulled a heist on them. That was the most satisfying part. But for the Kentucky fans, honestly, most of the ones we interacted with were very good to us.
Yeah, they were. In fact, if I had a nickel for every time someone said, I'm rooting for Cal, love Cal, but not in this game. It was kind of a thing where so many of them still loved Cal, but they just, weren't rooting for him. That was the main approach that people had. But we'll have more to talk about that as well as some other things. We want to remind everybody, Drain Masters of Arkansas is going to have you covered for all of your drain cleaning and plumbing needs. These things are pretty important when it comes to your home, comes to running your businesses. It's one of those things that you never really think about until you have a problem and you need it fixed right away. Well, wait no longer. Have the professionals, the masters, if you will, of Drain Masters, take care of you, because they service the entire state of Arkansas as well as Oklahoma, and they are ready to handle all of those issues with professional and reliable service. So if you need a service, all you got to do is request one by giving them a call today at 479-646-5585. It's 479-646-5585. You can also scan that QR code right there on your screen, like their Facebook page. And when you do so, folks, be sure to tell them that Inside Arkansas sent you. You get 10% off all your services. Doesn't matter how big of a job it is. Doesn't matter how much work it's going to take. If you say, hey, the fellows of Inside Arkansas sent me, you get 10% off all of their services. So anything and everything plumbing related, no job is too big or too small. Drain Masters of Arkansas has you covered. There's a couple of things also from that event, playing Kentucky and Lexington, that we remember I wanted to play, Andrew. Remember the guy that called in, the Kentucky fan that called in when we had call-in shows? And
Clown show?
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to replay that highlight because this was iconic, man. Ona.
Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself, man?
Man, it's a great day in the state of Kentucky, especially after watching that LSU game last night and watching that happen, especially looking back at all your tweets and showing you pumping out your chest, just saying how excited you were for Calipari and everything along those lines. But my question to you is, do you ever eat crow or admit anything about, you never say anything about how you felt in the past? Or it's obvious to me that you just don't want to give Kentucky fans credit. We knew this whole situation, what Calipari was going to. But another thing I wanted to talk about was your trip to Lexington at KS Bar. We're all it's going to be a packed house. I guarantee it's full of Cats fans ready for your show. And you never responded to my question, though. What sizes are you all? So I can buy your clown costume. I'll hang out there.
Great call.
I just was really not too impressed by that. He was a little shaky there.
Yeah, he kind of wavered a little bit. Here's the thing about it. What made me laugh is, one, it shows everything about him and so many Kentucky fans, where it was a pretty great day here in the state of Kentucky watching that LSU thing. Y'all played last night against Texas A&M and won, and that's the first thing you talk about. I was expecting that to happen and then say, and also seeing no. First. Anyway, so yeah, that was one where that call, it just made us laugh because, like, that summed it up at that point in time where, because a lot of Kentucky fans were talking big, talking brave. He calls in, he just starts wavering, just starts buckling. But it's funny thinking back. It's like, we tried to tell you guys about the Cal thing and it's going badly. And it's like, yeah, I wonder if Jonah could ever call back in or give us a chat or something. Let us know how he feels about the situation now.
I mean, I love it. And like the fact that Arkansas and Kentucky were scheduled to play a game and it was a week away at this point, and he had not even considered that like Kentucky might lose that game. Like it truly. And like, listen, I get it. You're confident in your team. You think they're going to win, but it's like, it wasn't even on his radar that they could maybe not lose that game. And wanting you to, and listen, we're all about accountability here. When we're wrong about something, we'll say we're wrong. I love that in like mid-January of year one, he's like, all right, John, are you finally going to eat crow? It's like, I don't know. Can we maybe let this season play out a little bit? And of course it did. And we both ended up in the Sweet 16. Neither one of us could look at the other and be like, hey, you got to eat crow. We ended up in the exact same spot, except we had a win over you. I just love trying to do the like premature victory lap of all premature victory laps mid-January, right before you get your arse whipped.
Yeah, that was like, again, those were one of the moments of the many moments that was so satisfying, like remembering that point of how, because again, we talked about so many Kentucky fans were really nice and cordial to us and everything. But there were so many Kentucky fans, like you said, Andrew, that there's just didn't even enter into their brain because they had truly felt, and I mean this, they truly felt that Mark Pope was the X's and O's god of basketball, that if you just give him the talent, he is going to do things that Calipari has never done before. Like that is kind of how they felt. And it was just, there's like, well, we have the better team. We have the better players. We have the better coach. We're at home. There's zero chance we lose this game. There was a lot of people that felt that way, and which goes once again into the whole thing of why it was so sweet to do that and to do it the way they did it. And because it's not like Kentucky, there's another thing about that game. It's not like Kentucky played bad. They didn't play a bad game. I think Arkansas and Kentucky both came out hitting like 5 threes in a row each. It was crazy. And so that's what made it even more satisfying is it wasn't like, oh man, the refs screwed Kentucky or, oh, they just had a bad shooting night. It's like, no, they played really well and they still got worked over by the better team. It was great.
Well, and it's awesome. Like you see in that clip, like we were in a spot then because, the team stunk. They were not playing well. We really couldn't argue too much. And so even in that moment, we kind of just had to let it slide and just let everyone have their fun, let everyone have their victory lap, let everyone, make their jokes and we'll laugh them off and all that. I look back at that and I'm even like more proud that we didn't like get into the mud and start trying to be like, well, actually, and well, we just kind of laughed it off and we were like, we'll just see, and didn't make any promises or proclamations. We just let it play out and, very satisfying, very fun stuff to look back on.
Yeah, surely. Here's the most important thing too: Arkansas can't lose that game this year. Like I know that you don't ever want to lose it, but like that would be, I don't want them to have like a balance or like an equal record because I feel like if you win this game where both teams played at their own home arena and Arkansas and Cal are 2-0, it's kind of like, yeah, we own you. It's over with because Cal's probably only got 5 years here at Arkansas, and you're going to play Kentucky at least 5 times. If you get off to that 2-0 start, it's kind of like the series, in the NFL or in the NBA or in Major League Baseball. It's like if you get up 2-0, man, you're in a great spot. So, great times, man, and definitely one for the ages that we'll always remember. Another thing too, as people kept bringing up, was about my luggage and that whole scenario, which had to deal with Kentucky. That was definitely one that, it was great, but I also want to forget. And I was looking back at some of our old videos, had the stick mics. Remember when we were at Alumni Hall, we had to pass our stick mics back and forth because all the equipment was gone. But that was another cool story about that, with the luggage being lost and $5,000 worth of stuff. And United Airlines was not going to give it to us. Just like, here's $1,300. And then the guy from Allegiant, that was a baggage handler who happened to be named Andrew over there in Lexington, found the luggage and shipped it back to me. That was just also one of the fun little scenarios and stories from that whole thing too.
Well, it's funny to look back on now. It actually that's a lie. It was funny in the moment for me, but it really did kind of suck for you. I mean, that's a lot of equipment, a lot of stuff. Now that it had a happy ending, it is so much better now to just look at that and laugh.
Yes. Well, not only that, but it's like it was equipment and it was like a lot of my clothes. Like, so, I had my razors and my trimmers for my beard and stuff in there. It was like, it was everything. But it all worked out for a reason though. Just another little crazy scenario where a guy Facebook messages me and it's like, "Hey, is this your luggage?" And I thought I was getting trolled. Just again adding into the mix. Another great little thing from basketball, of course, was going to the NCAA tournament and being able to go to the Sweet 16 for another year. Now, granted, we don't want to talk about what happened in the Sweet 16 because it wasn't very fun. But Andrew, just that run, us being up there in Providence and knowing that Arkansas was a 10 seed, one of the lowest seeds they've ever been in NCAA tournament history that they've had, to beat Kansas, but then to beat St. John's, Rick Pitino, for all of that. Like, what do you remember about that, and how do you feel about that scenario and situation that happened?
So I remember on that trip, it was my first time traveling for NCAA basketball tournament. You and Curtis had done that plenty of times before. And we always make the joke about how y'all always reference these times before. Oh, remember all this fun we had in Vegas or whatever. So part of me was just happy to be along on the trip and happy to, be along for the ride. But it was another time where I started kind of thinking big picture about really just life in general and how sports are all about like times that it brings people together. Like in a serious note, like that's what I love the most about these things is it brings us all, whether it's the fan base coming here for this show, us all going to Bud Walton Arena, it brings people together. And literally we travel around the entire country watching Arkansas basketball, and we're happy to do it. And we'll do it again every single year if we have to. And we hope we get that opportunity to do that. But just like, I mean, I never in my life grew up thinking, man, I'm going to go visit Providence, Rhode Island one day. But here I am watching Arkansas basketball in Providence, Rhode Island. I have a friend that lives in San Francisco, but I never really was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go to San Francisco. Here I am, first time I'd ever gone that far away. I mean, San Francisco, I think that's the farthest away I've ever gone from home. I haven't left the country or anything. Like, these are cool life experiences that we get because of Arkansas basketball. And so when I think about that trip, and obviously the games, the St. John's game was awesome. The Kansas game was really fun to watch. Even the Texas Tech game that they blew was a really fun game to watch. Like, I remember the games and I remember the players and I remember the moments, but that's really the thing that I keep thinking about is like just how privileged we are to get to live this life that we live and literally travel around the world watching Arkansas basketball. And especially in this Cal era where now we have 6 non-conference games that are all over the place. That's the cool thing to me is that just those moments, they're priceless.
Yeah, it was so cool to experience that once again because, like you said, it was your first time going to the NCAA tournament. But me and Curtis, it's kind of like being where we're at today. It's like the reason that I knew and became friends with Curtis and knew Curtis and everything was because of the NCAA tournament trips. And I know it's not the ultimate goal, but I still just can't get over the fact that Arkansas went literally like 25 years without a Sweet 16 appearance. Since 1996 up until Muss got there, they went that long without going to the Sweet 16. Every other SEC team made it to the Sweet 16 since the last time Arkansas did. And here we are, 4 of the last 5 years, Arkansas's made it to the Sweet 16. Like that, people just don't understand how insane that is. And I really hope and pray that we never have to know what it's like to get upset in the first weekend or anything like that by, if you're a 4 seed by a 13 seed or whatever. But yeah, just going there and getting to see the fans and getting to see, the reactions to it. And knowing that's like, you got to beat Kansas. It wasn't like you were beating Stetson, like you're beating Kansas and Bill Self. And you did it, I guess, for the second time. I know the other one was an exhibition game, but being able to do that. And then everybody was talking about Rick Pitino and John Calipari, and St. John's definitely had more of the fans, and it was up in the Northeast, and they had a really good team. I mean, they were a 2 seed. They were aggressive. They were physical. And you were not the team that everyone thought would be the physical team. But in that game, you were the more physical team. And so just to have it all play out in that way, and to see the excitement and to see it for Cal, where it's like, dude, this guy just owns people that have issues with him. Like it's like, oh, Kentucky, I'm gonna go there and beat you. Rick Pitino, and hey, don't boo Cal when he comes to Lexington. Like that whole weird video for him to go in there and just beat him up there in the Northeast, up there in Providence as when he's a 2 seed and I'm a 10 seed. Like, I don't know. I think that may have broken Rick Pitino and may have retired, because I don't see him ever having as good of a team as then. And that may have been his best chance to get back into a Final Four. And I think Cal probably just ruined that for him for the rest of his career.
Well, how many times can you think of, John, that you've, in any sport, that you've been at a neutral site game that featured the Arkansas Razorbacks and Arkansas was vastly outnumbered in fans? Like it really never happens that much. Obviously, you go on the road, that's a tough situation. And you go to certain areas, and of course, Providence, not necessarily Razorback country, but that was the jarring thing to me, is like, I just can't think of a time where that circumstance mattered, where it was like Arkansas is vastly outnumbered in a neutral site game, because St. John's, their fans were there, and that made the atmosphere pretty fun. I remember seeing all the leather jackets, but to the point you made about appreciating Arkansas just being in the Sweet 16 so much, and, St. John's maybe missing their opportunities. Like when we left Omaha this past year, there's no doubt in our minds that obviously we're going to be back in Omaha. Like, we're going to make another trip to Omaha, and we kind of have that right as Razorback fans. Even us, we don't really know. You know what I mean? Like, it could be 30 years before Arkansas makes the College World Series again. It won't be. They're going to go right back this year. But, like, we always kind of feel that as sports fans of like, oh, man, we lost here, but, like, we'll just run it back next year and be right back in the Sweet 16. Like, in 1996, if I had told you, hey, Arkansas is not going to go to the Sweet 16 until 2021, you'd have been like, dude, there's no way. But you in those moments, man, like, you just don't really know when your window is. And that's why it's like, when you're in the NCAA tournament and you're making these trips and you're going this far, it's hard for me to be sad, even when you lose. Like, even when you lose in the Sweet 16 in devastating fashion, I'm like, dude, we're here. We're like, everybody wants their season to end. You have made it this far. And I'm not saying Hog fans should just be satisfied and you'll be happy if they never make the Final Four, as long as they make the Sweet 16. But it really makes you grateful to be a sports fan, and like glad that we cover teams that give us these opportunities to be on these stages, and hopes and prayers, thoughts and prayers for many more. Like, let's fingers crossed. Let's hope we can keep doing it. But we just got to appreciate the ones for when they come.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in Arkansas being 10, I guess now it's 10-4 in the NCAA tournament in the past 5 years. That's just craziness. It's absolutely craziness. But we'll continue to our discussion and a little review and recap of 2025. I want to remind everybody, Blue Ember Smokehouse is a family-owned smokehouse specializing in all the handcraft barbecue. And in fact, a week from today, next Wednesday, we are going to be live from Blue Ember Smokehouse up there in Rogers off Pleasant Grove Road. So if you're around, come hang out with us, get you a great lunch, and get ready for the new year. And we know it's going to be starting up with Razorback basketball season, but the third Wednesday of each and every month, the first Wednesday of each and every month, we're going to be live at Blue Ember Smokehouse in Rogers. And the best thing about it is not only do they have incredible food and incredible barbecue and all the sides, but they also do a great job when it comes to catering. Whether you have events or parties or anything like that, they will have you covered, and they'll make it for however many people you need it for. They also have party rooms that if you need to reserve and to have any sort of events there, they have you covered at all their locations. No matter what it is, they got you taken care of at Blue Ember Smokehouse. So if you need any of these orders and if you need anything catered, just give them a call today. You see the 6 locations there on your screen with their phone numbers, whether it's Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, or Hot Springs, or even Rogers. Give them a call today. Set it up to have them cater your events and get some great food and a great time with Blue Ember Smokehouse here in Arkansas. Another thing, Andrew, I wanted to play from the NCAA tournament real quick is, of course, one of the most viral and famous quotes from our very own Carter Knox.
From last weekend to this weekend, just to know that you advanced and everything. Anything different?
We got the same vibe. Every round, we got the same vibe. We go in, kill, celebrate, kill again, celebrate, kill again, So it really just, competitive.
So I just love the fact that it was a thing where just took off. Just kill, celebrate, kill again, celebrate, kill again. It was hardcore. And Carter Knox had a great game. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had 20 points against Texas Tech, which I know they lost, but dude was playing really at a high level, and that was a great quote there as well.
Just a shame we couldn't make T-shirts out of it.
I know. Apparently, if they don't like having words that say "kill" on it, which
apparently killing is bad, so we can't actually condone it, but the mindset still stands.
Yes, exactly right. So gotta love that from Carter Knox. But either way, so moving into the kind of the next spot, which I know is kind of your specialty too, is the Razorback baseball team. We all know what happened this past year, but I agree with you and what you said, I think, earlier in the show, that this past Razorback baseball team overall was the best Razorback baseball team, top to bottom, that I can remember. It's not to say that they were perfect, because they weren't, because they didn't win the College World Series. But when it came to pitching, when it came to hitting, when it came to defense, when it came to depth, when it came to swagger, when it came to the approach, just everything, it was awesome. And it was an awesome thing to see it in real time, and for them to, because you had coming off of back-to-back years losing in your home regionals. And I remember the fear of like, please don't let this happen again. Please don't let. And then they sweep the regionals and supers at home against Tennessee, going to Omaha. Of course, I know we'll talk about the no-hitter, but just overall, man, the baseball season this past year, again, didn't end where everybody wanted it to, but it was so much fun to watch that year and watch that season, and to be back in Omaha once again, where it had been so long.
Yeah, I think that's well put. And I would agree. I mean, the 2018 team is the only team that I can really hear an argument for, because that was obviously a very good team that obviously should have won the national title. And if you compare the rosters, you can at least argue. I would still lean the 2025 team, but like that's really the only team that I think is in the same echelon in terms of just top to bottom. You had a Friday night starter, you had a closer, you had a lineup, all this. I really do think, and one thing that I always hate, John, and I talked about this on the Bombastic podcast that's coming out later today, I always hate when, because we get into this hogs go hog mindset, and, you lose a bunch of games. You're used to losing on big stages, and fans always say, oh, it's just same old story, or whatever. And when you don't win the national championship for the Arkansas baseball program, it's easy as fans to say, oh, same old hogs.
Yep.
But as you know, like the 2025 team, completely night and day different than 2024 that didn't get out of their own regional, or 2023 that didn't get out of their own regional, or even 2022. That was a very specific unit. They had technically the same finish as 2025, but that story was completely different characters, completely different team, different makeup, like different personalities. And I hate when people kind of reduce these seasons to, oh, well, you didn't win the title, so, it's all for nothing. And it's all in, like, I get it. We're not going to fully be satisfied as baseball fans until they win the title. I understand that. And I don't want to diminish that at all, but it really does drive me nuts when someone can have that 2025 season where we had so much fun, so many big, they sweep Texas, you sweep Tennessee in the super regionals, you jump in Lake Norm, you have the regional where that podcast host caught the foul ball, all these awesome moments. And then at the end, you have a disastrous final inning of the year, which about as heartbreaking a sports moment as I can ever remember, honestly. That happens, and then you have a whole section of the fan base that's just like, all for nothing, and that's all they're going to remember. That's all they are going to remember, is that we didn't win the national title. And honestly, I said it this summer, I feel bad for people who, like, their vision of that 2025 season is only the end. And it's a very important part of the story, and it's one that we're never going to ignore. We're not just going to talk about 2025 and be like, yeah, it was the best baseball season ever, and that was it. It was just, it was all good. Like, we're going to have to talk about that, and we will, and we do. We talk about it all the time. We also talk about the drop fly ball in 2018, but it's like, if you as a Razorback fan don't remember the moments that led up to that, I genuinely feel sorry for you. Because like I said, 2025, that was one of the most exhilarating baseball seasons of my life. And I'm just grateful we got to watch a lot of those players. And that's the thing that, like, to get back to the whole, like, life and introspective part, like, I really, it's cool to see these guys come from literally all over the globe for Arkansas baseball, and they all find a home at Arkansas. Vahiva Aloy is going to come back in 20 years. Him and Cahillo, they're going to come and with their kids, show them the place. This is where we made a name for ourselves. This is where we became men. This is where we learned under Dave Van Horn, a legendary head coach. Like, that kind of stuff's awesome. And even Charles Davlon, as bad as it hurts, like, he's going to come back to Fayetteville freaking from Canada. and he's going to be able to show his kids and his grandkids, hey, this is where I made a name for myself. That's special, man. And if you can't appreciate that and you're only worried about did they win the title or not, I feel like you're missing a lot of the story here.
Yeah. See, and I'm with you too, man. It's like it shows how nice it is to have a program where you're disappointed if you don't win at all. Like, because that shows you how great it is and how great it's been built. And, you know, we've talked about Dave, and at least here since COVID, like there's not been a more consistent baseball program at a high level than what Dave has had at Arkansas. Now, again, the title's the thing that needs to happen. And I think everybody knows it. He knows it. But, you know, to see winning 20 games in SEC play consistently is absurd. It's not like he's gotten the easy, like this upcoming year, we know might be the easiest schedule he's ever had in SEC play. It's not going to be easy, but the easiest. Just think like last year, you played Texas A&M, LSU, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Like you played all these teams, and you're still finding ways to win the series. But to mix it with Miheva Aloy winning the Golden Spikes, and then you have on top of that going to Omaha, because that was another thing. Is your previous Golden Spikes winner, Kevin Kopps, who everybody loved, you missed out on Omaha. And then the year before that, or the time before that, with Andrew Benintendi, awesome, you made it to Omaha. But I think everyone knew it was like, yeah, this team, just the fact that they're there is incredible. But this was one where you had the team alongside the Golden Spikes winner and all the fun excitement that built around it and the greatness. And, you know, I know we'll talk about, the postseason specifically, but there were just a lot of moments, or at least Omaha specifically, there were a lot of moments there. But I wanted to play this again. This is just fun because it gets a nice little highlight of some of the regular season, but also the postseason, and referred to some of the cool things that happened for the baseball season in the home regionals and supers.
6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles today, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war. If your eyes drop, they will get the top of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Try to think of something different. Oh, my God, keep from going lunatic. Moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war.
Now, I wanted to play that video because of the hype, but Andrew, they just reminded me of some things I almost forgot about. Like this past season, like, you know, we talked about jumping into the lake or whatever, which is, hold on a second. Jumping into the lake and everything, but stop. Jumping into the lake. But it's like this stuff with, like, you know, of course, the Vitello thing and sweeping them and everything and how he just owns Tony V. But like the one that I completely forgot about, and I can't believe it, I'm going to scroll over here and get to this point, was our guy, Zach Root, man.
Oh, absolutely dog cussing. What was it? Andrew Fisher, their first baseman? Just going crazy at him. Oh,
I mean, and then you're like, listen, we knew he was an emotional guy, but I remember when all this happened, I'm like, dude, what is going on? This team they hate them. Like, you know, it's like you watch The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, and he always talks about, and I took that personally, and he would just like make things up in his mind to take things personally against the other team. I don't know if that's what Arkansas did, because I think that there's reasons why they may have had some issues, but it felt like they almost were like, we're going to make stuff up in our head of why we hate them. And they just used it as fuel to beat them. And I remember when that happened, I'm like, oh, Arkansas ain't losing this. They ain't losing this regional, man. They're super. They ain't doing that. But that was crazy.
Yeah, that was such a big narrative going into that series. And Hog fans like to do this thing where they pretend that Arkansas doesn't have a lot of extracurricular activity, that they don't pimp home runs, that they don't, you know, puff out their chest and hype themselves up and, you know, maybe even talk a little crap to their opponent and stuff like that. But going in, Hog fans kept doing this thing where they were like, oh, Tennessee, they're going to have all the antics and we're going to be the professionals. I really love that Arkansas brought that intensity to that series. John, I want to go real quick. Hopefully it doesn't play out loud to a part of the video that I really appreciated. Let me see if I can get it here. Right there. You see
Kendall.
that young man?
Mm-hmm.
That's Kendall Diggs. If you ask 10 Hog fans right now and you were like, hey, what's your opinion? Like, how do you remember Kendall Diggs? I'd imagine about half of them would say something along the lines of, oh, Kendall Diggs, yeah, he struck out a bunch, and he ended up being a bust, and whatever. It didn't work out well for him. And listen, his final 2 years at Arkansas obviously didn't go the way that he wanted, we wanted. He had some injuries, some things that set him back, all that. But I think of Kendall Diggs of a guy that if anyone would have had the right to feel sorry for themselves during the 2025 season, it would have been Kendall Diggs. This dude was on top of the world, had all this All-American hype, and it was on a trajectory that he was going to be one of the best players in the country. Had some injuries, had some things set him back, ends up being out of the lineup, and he is just as fired up as anyone on that team. He is he's pulling just as hard for the Razorbacks as anyone in that locker room. He was the first one out celebrating, and listen, I get it. It's like when your team wins, you have to smile and clap or whatever. I watched the dugout all year. There was never a moment where Kendall Diggs was over there kicking dirt, pouting, all sad or whatever. Like, that dude is a hog. And I love seeing all those guys. I mean, there's other ones. I mean, I think of Cooper Dossett, who couldn't pitch at all last year. He was in Omaha just as fired up as everyone. And look at
Nolan Souza.
Look at Nolan Souza, just as fired up as anyone else. Like, that's what makes this program special. And it's like, I think these people that come in and have their outside view and look at it through a 30,000-foot lens, and they just kind of pick and choose which players they like, and this guy's a bum and this guy's not. It's like, again, you're just missing all of what we're doing here. You just don't get it, what this program means to everybody and what it means. I mean, every shot of this video, you see the fan base and everybody's just going crazy. And like, listen, those fans would have gone just as crazy if they had won the national title. But it's like, you can't take these moments away from these people. You can't tell me this stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And that was what, because echoing your thoughts on Diggs, I couldn't agree more. Diggs is the man. And I know nobody wanted him to succeed more than himself. It was frustrating for him. And I couldn't imagine how frustrating it has to be where you were, as you said, had a trajectory of being All-American level, and yet you struggled. You dealt with injury, and in your final year, it's like you're a shade of yourself. And and he's a great dude and a great family, everything. So I just really appreciate him that. But also this year was a lot of new things that we hadn't seen before. How about, remember this? I remember this part where the team just jumped up into the crowd, went out in the hog pen with the trophy, going to Omaha. And then, of course, our man over here, Steele Ames, is jumping in Lake Norm. That was just such an incredible thing of and apparently, as it came out, it was Eva Aloy's decision. The guy who doesn't talk much, who's not the guy that's on social media, that's not the guy that's just trash talking or getting over emotional or anything. He's like, let's just go into the stands. And they all followed him and they went through the concourse. So that was also, again, just one of the coolest, most fun things going up to Omaha. And, of course, we did our show from Foghorns, the post game with Bombastic and all the fans. I mean, everything about it was just so cool. And to have all that happening at this moment was just awesome, man. It's just awesome. And I didn't pull the video. I wish I would have, but Dave crying, man, in that post game.
Oh,
that got me. Because
he was like, he kind of when you know you're about to cry, whatever sentence you have in your head, it gets a lot shorter of what you're going to try and say. And Dave was kind of what we've gone through the last couple years. And then he kind of paused and he said, this means a lot. And it's because he was about to cry. He wanted to say, man, these last couple years losing in this building, that sucked. Seeing this fan base disappointed, it feels really good to go up there and be able to celebrate with the fans. And as a fan, I think it should mean a lot to you that these guys accomplished their big goal. They accomplished their dreams and everything's coming true. And they wanted you to be a part of it. They immediately, their first thought was not how I can celebrate myself. How can I make this a cool moment for everyone else? And man, it's one of those things, unless you're there and unless you're living that moment, not even there, but just on the journey, you just don't know what you're missing out on, man.
Yeah. Well, and then just he has to put the hat in front of his face, because he doesn't want anyone seeing it. It was just because wasn't it Davalon that's sitting next to him? And he's kind of
Yeah, Davlon patted him on the back.
Yeah, he's like, because I think he was like, I mean, I think everyone knew how much, and Davlon was a 1-year player at Arkansas, but I'm sure he was kind of like almost in shock of like, oh man, this really did mean a lot. Like, you know, because I think they knew it, but to see who I'm sure they haven't seen Dave exactly get teary-eyed in front of them very often. To see that was really epic. So,
which I know I'm getting very emotional here on the show here, but it's poetic a little bit that Davlon's the one patting Dave on the back in that moment. And then in the season finale press conference, Dave has to go to the press conference and he has to fight for Charles and says, that kid doesn't have anything to hang his hat about. We wouldn't be here at all without Charles. I'd go to war with that guy 10 times out of 10. And Dave defended his team and stood there and faced the music. Like, you want to talk about Dave press conferences that make you emotional. His press conference to end the season after the disastrous LSU loss, it got me, and I've watched it multiple times since then. I think about it all the time, you know, just like what that moment meant to me. And, you know, I know it meant a lot to the players on the team as well.
Well, what was it? Again, he's basically saying that Davlon came up to him and said sorry. And he goes, he's like, don't ever say that to me again. I was like, phew. It's like, yeah, because that's like, because I'll tell you this, Andrew, and I know we'll get to some other things and talk about the more positive stuff. But I have seen the pop-up foul ball and the drop foul ball and everything. Like, I've watched it. It's not like I've chosen to or anything, but it's like I've seen it, whatever. Still have yet to watch, and I don't think I ever can, the ending to that LSU game. I don't think I'll ever. I don't think I'll. As weird as it is, it was worse, and I still wondered if it was like I was just living in the moment. No, to me, it was still worse than 2018. I may be alone in that, but the feeling I have is like I have this feeling is worse, and I think it's just because, you know, in 2018, I felt like you were just you're on a run, and but Oregon State was a better team. I felt like the stars aligned everything for you to have that be your year, and for it to end that way, and to get hear the broadcast of just the disappointment, to see on social media the national college, not in college baseball people, but just national people be like, dude, Arkansas, what have you, like, why are you so cursed? Like, it was just like, I don't think I'll ever be able to watch it again.
The only real, I mean, like, and obviously, I don't want to have this argument because I don't really care. They're both horrible, but like, the only real argument for 2018 is that it was just the final play of the final game, where if they catch that, the game's over. If Charles Davlon catches that fly ball, Arkansas wins that game. They still have to play 9 innings against LSU. Then you still have to go to the final series. But I actually do agree with you, especially because the 2018 thing, you could kind of, some people say, oh, Carson Chatty's fault. Some people say, hey, Eric Cole, come in there from right field and make that play. You can even make an argument for Jared Gates. Maybe he makes that thing, and you can kind of point to, and then things happened after that you can kind of point and stuff. The Charles Davlon play is a Charles Davlon play. The Vahiva Aloy play is a Vahiva Aloy play. The Reese Robinette error that he made, and it's like seeing all these different things kind of all culminate, and I mean, just everyone crying on the field. It was the worst. That was the worst. It was close to as great as this year was. That really might have been the worst year of my life.
I was
the worst moment of my life, I should say. And
I think us being there in person, what made it, like, again, was great in the way of like all us being there, but then in that moment, like, as you guys knew, I was in another world because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want it to happen, and I didn't want it to be this way. And it's like, and I think someone in the chat mentioned it, which we'll get to your chats, folks, but there's like the fact it was against LSU too was what made it. Oh, I hate, like, again, there's a lot of fan bases that are so bad on social media, but when you're like we talk about with Kentucky, LSU's the opposite. They are the worst in person that I have ever been around, and I will never ever forget it. So
I have real life friendships, real life people that I've known my entire life that, like, I'm not saying I'm not friends with them anymore, but like our friendship is a little bit different. Just a little bit. Like, some of them I didn't see for Christmas, and it wasn't because Arkansas lost, but it's like, some of those moments do change things in real life for you.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We'll talk about something, positive, folks. I promise you, because this one's very, very positive. We'll do that here in a second. I want to remind you that Hickey and Hole Law is going to have you covered for all of your legal needs heading into 2026, because we know that it's new year, new you, right? Well, there may be some things that you're going to be running into. There may be some changes that are going to be happening. There may be some things that you're going to need help with, whether it's divorce and custody cases, criminal cases, civil litigation cases. In fact, our guy Logan reached out to me yesterday, was like, hey, man, I need to give Hickey and Hole Law Partners a call because I got some stuff I need them to look into and take care of. And he called them, and it was immediate that they got with him, and they're helping him out. So it's just one of the great things and one of the great partnerships that we have here at Inside Arkansas. So no matter what your legal needs may be, Hickey and Hole is going to have you covered. You can call them today across the entire state of Arkansas. They have offices across the entire state of Arkansas at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhull.com. It's Hickey and Hull Law. Things are about to get better. All right, Andrew, we got to talk about this. And I'm going to be honest, there's not any football goodness. That's just what sucks this year. 2025 had no good things from football.
Hey, no Silverfield flipping those in-state kids. Is that our best football moment of the year?
It might be, or I was trying to even think. I don't know if I can counter that with anything. Like,
getting Corey Robinson out of the transfer portal. I mean, come on, John.
Yeah. Omega Blake, maybe. I mean, yeah, there wasn't much, man. It wasn't much. So, but yeah, Kingsley just says, chat, we didn't lose to A-State. Yep, that might be the best moment. Might be the best.
And also,
moment.
that was the day Wesley was born. So
that's true. So yeah, there were some good things on that day. But let's just talk about the one thing from the baseball side that was in postseason that I think everybody remembers. How about a no-hitter and the reaction from the no-hitter with our guy in Batesville's own Gage Wood?
Oh, baby, come on! On to the next! On to the next! Next one! Just not done!
I wish I could play the highlights, Andrew, because I mean, you talk about hype, man. And we were there. And I remember we always talk about, hey, man, we got to get back to DJ's dugout as soon as the game ends, through the post game. And about the 7th, 8th inning, we're all like, we're not leaving. People can just wait because, and I know you definitely had that same feeling, but the crescendo of where the game started, you're 0-1. And, the casual fans there are rooting against you because they want the underdog of Murray State to win. It's in the middle of the day. It's hot. It's like, but then just as, here goes 3 strikeouts. Here's 5, 7, and then just boop, boop, boop. And then 19 strikeouts, no hitter, 3rd one in College World Series history. Just incredible stuff.
It's very rare because, we attend a lot of sporting events. We attend a lot of games. We're at a lot of big moments. And every now and then, obviously, we have moments that stand in time forever. We're always going to talk about that Kentucky game. We're always going to talk about, certain matchups, certain big things. It's rare when you're in the moment and know in the moment, this is the most special thing I've ever seen. Like, you kind of knew, I would say by inning 6 or 7, we kind of knew, hey, this is among the best physical performances, like individuals we've ever seen. And then, of course, by the end of it, we know, okay, this is going to be written in stone forever. This is a special thing. And here's the thing is, like, even if he had given up a hit, even if he had given up a run, even, it still was one of the most impressive individual performances, just to how dominant he was, the look in his eyes, the look on his face. And Arkansas was in an elimination game. You could see it. You could see it on Gage Wood's face that Arkansas was not getting eliminated that day. You just knew. And if Arkansas's offense gave him even a little bit of help, which they did, that's all it was going to take. And that's a special feeling, man. And it just felt like we were riding a wave for the entire 2.5 hours, 3 hours, however long it was. He felt like he was getting stronger,
Yes.
We started having the conversation a little bit 7th, 8th inning of like, do you pull him? He's at 100, whatever pitches. Like, do you? And it's just like, by the end of it, it felt stupid that we even had those conversations because, like, clearly he probably could have thrown 3 more innings and probably struck out 5 or 6 more. Like, it was unbelievable, man. It's the best individual performance I've ever seen from a Razorback baseball player for sure. And maybe it's the best I've ever been to in my life in any sport, any level, period. It was crazy. And I mean, for it to be an Arkansas kid means a lot. Now, I got to be honest, John, because we talked about earlier what our favorite moment of the year was. And there's a reason I didn't pick this as my favorite moment. The fact that it was an elimination game against Murray State, and the fact that we knew even after the win that Arkansas was going to have to do a lot more to get back to it, it did kind of hang over it. Now, it doesn't take away from what Gage Wood did. It doesn't take away from that being the best performance. But in terms of like our favorite moments, I got to be honest, that does kind of like factor into this discussion a little bit.
Yeah, which I can understand that. And I think the reason maybe it didn't hit me the same way like that is because we all know in Omaha, it's about pitching. It's about pitching. It does, and that's why that winning that first game is so important. It's not because, you have 0 chance. It's like, no, because you're going to have to play that additional game, and you got to have pitching. Now, we all knew Arkansas had some good pitchers. We all knew that Arkansas had depth. But what's the best way to reserve a lot of the depth for your pitching staff? Well, have a guy throw a no-hitter in game 2. Like, I mean, that's when I was like, we're all the way back type of feeling. Like, I knew that there was a lot of work to do, but it just invigorated of like, man, you talk about a shot in the arm. Because I'm sure you knew that Razorback fans and Razorback players were bummed and pissed that they lost to LSU and the way they did, and knowing that they had to do this. That was just like the juice that they needed to kind of get back and focused in. And the ending of it was incredible, like obviously. But Andrew, the feeling that I remember being there for was when it gets me hyped and chills, was because we didn't have the broadcast. We're not hearing things. Mm-hmm. We're just watching in real time and seeing him run out in the ninth inning. Because everyone kept wondering, like, okay, hey, do we save him? Do we save him? Seeing him run out in the ninth inning and the place goes nuts. Like, even non-Razorback fans are like, because they knew it was going to be history like that. And I'll take it one step further, Andrew. You said it's the greatest individual accomplishment of a Razorback baseball player. I can't think of a single individual accomplishment in Razorback history of any sport that was better than that. Maybe Darren McFadden's 321 yards totally could be in the running. But at that level, no hitter, knowing that it was a Batesville kid when he did the Arkansas thing as soon as he does it, knowing that he just made him millions of dollars more, going on Pat McAfee the next day. His first thing is, job's not done. We're not finished. And then also the interview afterwards, he's pissed that he hit that guy.
Yeah.
He's like, that was the first thing. He's like, shouldn't have hit that guy. I was like,
even in that clip that you just showed, as the team is trying to celebrate him, he's like, hey guys, we're not done. Hey guys, come on. We got to win. Like, which tells you everything you need to know about Gage and his mentality. I'm with you, dude. Like, I mean, there's games we can talk about. I mean, I don't think there's a basketball game individual that comes close, frankly. Like, Rodney Clark has the scoring record against Alcorn State. Obviously, we're not counting that. Scoring 50 is great, but it's like, that doesn't even come close to the moment, opponent, all that. McFadden has had plenty. I mean, because you can go to the South Carolina game, you could go to the LSU game where he basically, beat number one, not by himself, because Felix and Peyton Hills had good days too, but there's a lot of good ones. I mean, John, is it crazy? Because I see a few people talking about the Hagen game. The Hagen game's not far behind this, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, we were there in Arlington for that one. It's definitely not too far behind, but yeah, I can't personally think of a better Razorback individual performance.
No, I can't either. And just, again, just what it meant. And also just, I remember the visuals. I wish I could play them though, but like when the guy called timeout and he's sitting there and he's like psychopath and he is one. I was like, if that guy was in arm's reach of Gage may have choked him out. Like it was so intense at the umpire. Remember, he had to come out and be like,
tell Gage, calm down.
You got to relax, man. Like, you got to relax.
When Gage spit, and I think the umpire thought he was spitting at the player, and I don't think that's what was happening. I think he had a lot of built-up saliva because he's a rabid dog. Yes. I don't think he was spitting like, screw you. I think he just spit, and the umpire was like, oh, hey, relax.
Yeah. But I mean, just, the spitting. I don't even know if it was a sunflower seed or whatever, but either way, it was just awesome, man. And again, couldn't have happened to a better guy with Gage, because we all knew Gage was good, but I don't think any of us would have said, hey, we know that Gage would at some point in time in his career is going to throw 19 strikeouts and a no-hitter in the College World Series. Like, none of us knew that.
But, and also, for those that don't remember, I mean, I was there in Arlington in February at the beginning of the year when Gage left the game with a shoulder injury and missed. I think he ended up missing 2 months of the season, comes back in April, and they had to ramp him up or whatever. That was a risky maneuver for him. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy that he ended up signing for an ungodly amount of money, which was awesome, and he deserved every penny of it. But it's like, he would have been well within his rights to say, you know what? Maybe I don't want to come back and pitch and, throw 130 pitches in a single game or whatever. Like, honestly, if he had shut it down after February, I don't think many people would have been like, wow, what the heck, Gage? Like, we all would have been like, makes sense. You're going to make a lot of money. Okay. The fact that he was basically just putting everything on the line and being selfless and literally wasn't even thinking about himself in the most important moment of his life, the biggest accomplishment of his career. He was thinking about what his team needed to do to keep winning and stay in Omaha. And like, he was ready to pitch the next day. Like, there's just not many people. It's one thing to say you're that kind of guy and that you're going to give your all for your team. You can see when it's someone like that, you can see it's just a different level. And, it genuinely is inspiring. I don't know if that's a dramatic term to use. It really is inspiring, though.
Yeah. And we'll get into the chat, but real quick, I maybe you probably remember, but wasn't there there's probably a few of them, like pitchers that didn't even get to pitch in Omaha. That was surprising just because of, like, I'm trying to remember who it was that didn't
Dylan
pitch.
Carter did not pitch in Omaha.
Will McIntyre didn't pitch in Omaha.
He did, but it was in the UCLA game. It was like a weird
I didn't remember
throwaway
that.
thing. He threw like one inning. Parker Coyle.
Speaking of, I don't even remember anything about that UCLA game. Isn't it weird? I don't know if it's just because it was pancake, but I'm like, I remember Arkansas winning. Was it 7-0 or something? Or they beat them pretty good.
It was a blowout, and then Will McIntyre. I just remember Will McIntyre came in and gave up like a run.
And then everybody just lost their minds.
The post-game chat was like, I can't believe he's pitching. I'm like, dude, they came and threw him in a nothing situation. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, it was, which, I mean, listen, now we're going down the rabbit hole of what could have been. But here's my what if that I'm going to leave everyone with. What if Arkansas just thrown Gage Wood game 1 against LSU? Maybe he doesn't throw the no-hitter, but would he have been good enough to beat LSU? I'm inclined to think he would have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if the way that he was feeling, imagine if he threw the no-hitter, Andrew, in game 2 in the College World Series finals, and you know what that would have meant. And then Arkansas wins.
Would have been a lot cooler. Hey, shout out to Kingsley for pointing out that Landon Cheese.
Yes.
We're never going to remember it, but in that LSU game that ended in a disaster, he gave Arkansas like the best outing of his season. And there were a lot of guys that like stepped up and were awesome that we're just going to have to forget about, frankly.
Yeah. Because Gage Wood, or not Gage Wood, his name just escaped me. The kid that transferred from Ohio State.
Cheese, yeah.
Yeah. Cheese. Oh, sorry, not Ohio State. I'm getting all my players mixed up. The guy that Root. Thank you. I don't know why I was messing that up. Because he started against LSU but struggled a little bit, and then they brought in Gackle. Was that right?
Yes, and then Gackle goes 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. You mentioned the UCLA game. That's what I remember about that is Root came back and pitched in that UCLA game, and we were just like, sure, I guess.
Yeah, and again, I think, honestly, and that's another thing I know we'll talk about. That's another thing, too, is I felt there was some questions that all of us, and I don't know how much you did, but I know I did, about the handling throughout the thing. I'm like, okay, the pitching. I was like, are you sure about this? Like, I don't know. But that's one of the things, too, where if Arkansas just would have taken care of that LSU game, I think, because wasn't it Gackle going to be, I think he even said, he's like, I'm going to be ready to go in the next game.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, dude, if that happens, it's going to be awesome. In
hindsight, and I know hindsight is always 20/20, in hindsight, what they should have done realistically, and I think Dave would even agree with this. I'm not saying Dave made the wrong decision. It's just kind of like once you see it play out, you kind of have the perspective. I think in hindsight, Dave would have not used Gackle in that LSU game and just saved him for a potential game, because he ended up pitching and he gave up a run when he came in, or he like gave up a hit that led to a run, and then he gave up a home run to Jared Jones. And then by that point, he was out of gas, and they went to Gibbler and then went to Jimenez. I think Dave would have probably saved him and held him and like used whoever you needed to use and just see if you can get through that game. Because I think if you had gone into that final game with Gackle, Arkansas would have been like a -200 favorite.
Easily. I know we'll get to our poll question, but I have some breaking news, Andrew. Arkansas has edge rusher Kavion Henderson entering into the transfer portal.
Okay.
So just wanted to throw that in there.
Listen, we will miss Kavion Henderson, in-state kid, I believe. And, we wish him well on his journey. I think there's a spot for him somewhere else. He's one that's interesting. People used to lump him and Charlie Collins in together a lot as young defensive linemen that could help Arkansas. And I would always have to point out that Charlie Collins played and wasn't good in his action for the most part, but like was at least someone that was playing, getting reps and working his way up the depth chart. And for Kavion, it never really was that. Like I don't even think he was ever even third team at Arkansas, which is, not a knock on the kid or anything, but I think some people are going to look at this and say, oh man, we squandered an in-state kid. And I would just point out that he was not in the 3 deep of a 2-10 team.
Yeah. And it was just unfortunate because it's like, if you remember out of high school, he had offers to Bama, Auburn, Georgia. Like he had some pretty good offers.
Which is why I think a lot of people were kind of like, when's Kavion Henderson going to pop up? And it's like, well.
Yeah. He's from Leeds, Alabama, the home of a Buc-ee's. That's about all I know that's in there in Leeds, Alabama. But anyways, to pass that along. But part of your Alumni Hall question of the day presented by our friends over at Alumni Hall. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. You want to bring in the new year with some new Razorback gear. There's no place better than Alumni Hall. They have everything you could imagine for men, women, and kids. They got the high-end polos, whether it's Southern Tide, whether it's Columbia, whether it's Johnny O. They have it all. They also have all the warm wear. A lot of you may love the sweatshirts and the hoodies. They got plenty of those in stock. They got Razorback jerseys. They got Razorback hats, plenty of the hats, all the Nike gear for basketball. It's just incredible. All the things that they have going on there at Alumni Hall. And if you want to get in on some of the great new stock that Alumni Hall has, just go to insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. That's insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. You can use that code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase if you visit them in store. It's Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. And Andrew, before we get to the chat, it was a simple one of just asking the masses, what was your favorite Razorback moment of 2025? The options were the win against Kentucky and Cal's return, the win over St. John's in Sweet 16, the Gage Wood no-hitter, or other. 53% of you said Gage Wood's no-hitter was your number one, followed by 26% of the win against Kentucky. 20% says the win over St. John's, and then less than 1% said other. So felt like those were the only three options.
I'm trying to think of even what an other would be. I mean, like sweeping Texas in baseball or something like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there really was other things, or beating, or like the celebration of Baum Walker after going to Omaha, with beating Tony V.
I guess that would be it.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, and I'd hate to be remiss to bring up, and I think it was Beidelshees, if I'm not mistaken. Who was the kid when he threw the final out against Tennessee, went to Tennessee's bench and
Fouch, Christian Fouch.
Yes.
And
that was another moment.
Said some choice words we will not repeat.
Yes, but that was another moment where I'm like, man, they really hate Tennessee. Like they were just and it was so funny too, Andrew. Every college baseball fan was rooting for Arkansas on that. Like everybody was just like loving it. So it was so great.
I mean, they retired Tony Vitello. That's what happened. That's what you should have put on the options when Arkansas retired Tony Vitello.
Yeah, so I should have done that. That would have had some votes there for sure. So, all right, we'll get to your chats, folks. Appreciate everybody tuning in. So super chats get read first. Shout out to our guy Hayden, says busting UK's rear was his favorite moment, which is a great one there. Also, not a burner. It's not a super chat, but he says Happy New Year, everyone. For anyone cares, she said yes. So I'm officially engaged.
We were getting a little worried about you because we hadn't heard back, but it's good to see. I think he also said, and he's in here every day, I think he had to pop out early because he's got a lunch with the future in-laws. So good for him.
That's important. And the reason I brought this up is because NWA Sportsman with Super Chat says, congrats, not a burner. Says happy last day of the 2025 to Inside Arkansas crew in chat.
Thank
man.
You.
Appreciate you. Also, Jamer Time says, happy New Year's Eve, Inside Arkansas. 2025 was great to be a Hog fan. Lots of heartbreak, but lots of generational moments as well. Woo Pig Suey. So yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah. Again, there were some good moments, some bad ones. I just wish it's just sad. There's not one single football moment at all. Like the best moment may have been when Arkansas played pretty well against A&M to end the half. Like that might have been one of the
whenever they cut it to 4 against A&M. That was pretty good. But the good thing is football. I mean, the Memphis game is probably the closest thing to it, but it's not like we had a ton of like genuine heartbreak with football because I feel like our hearts were kind of already broken before.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. It's like you can't break it any harder than what was broken before, but still. A few other ones here. Yeah, Hickory Hog says this year the UK post game is going to start with Andrew and Curtis with belt in hand. It might.
I like that a lot. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna start talking trash and doing a victory lap already, but I will be looking forward to that, especially if Arkansas wins. You know what I kind of meant to bring up earlier. You remember the Luka trade happening mid post game?
Yes.
And like it's weird because like you would never think that we would react to NBA news on a post game show, especially for a game that big. But like that was the weirdest thing where we were like, oh my God, Luka got traded for Anthony Davis. Like we had to like pause for a moment.
Yeah, really. I think Dallas did that to overshine Cal's victory over Kentucky because that would have been the lead story for everybody, but didn't get to really let it because there's also. People forget, too, local time. That game started at 9 p.m. in Lexington. Like,
forgot about that.
9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central Time. And it was a late one, man. It was late. Because I think the game didn't get over with until close to midnight. I mean, until he was all satisfied. But anyway, yeah, it was crazy. Hickory Hawk says, remember when that group went psycho on the Tenor She and the Supers? Yeah, talked about that. Let's see. Heartbroken Hawk says, what really made it so special and honestly cathartic in a way is how bad the Kentucky fans and national media were up to that point that season. We could finally throw it back into their faces. Yep. That's a true statement.
I mean, listen, we talk a lot about like taking small things and stretching it into this big picture proclamation. That was Kentucky's entire season. Like you were talking about every game they won when they beat Duke. Oh, wow. So this is a sign that he has taken the program to a level that Cal couldn't. And they would beat Gonzaga. once again, proof this program. And it was like every single game they played, it was like this crazy, awesome thing to get propped up or whatever. And then to see them give them a game that they had to sweep under the rug was just beautiful.
Yep. One of my, on my Locked On, my third most watched Locked On of all time was when I said, this is unacceptable after Arkansas lost to LSU in that game and like how they were faltering. And I'm like, and it wasn't because Razorback fans were watching. It was because it was like literally could have been on Pornhub for those Kentucky fans just wanting to watch any sort of negative stuff that Cal. Like they wanted it, man. They wanted it so bad.
You saying that right now, John, just gave me an epiphany because Curtis and I were looking at through like post game, just numbers of videos and which ones did the best. And that LSU post game is like, I think it was like 4th or 5th on the list. I mean, like right behind some of those NCAA tournament games. And we were kind of like, that's weird. And like, obviously a loss kind of draw, but it was definitely the Kentucky fans.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. In fact, I think I saw when we did our numbers and recap for the quarter of Q1 for January, February, March, Lexington was 4th on our list of markets, like of people watching our content. Lexington was 4th. It's just, yeah, it was crazy, man. NWA Sportsman says, at the game on Monday, I was like, wow, it's crazy. I'm sitting here cheering with all the other Hog fans as Coach Cal is introduced as the head coach at Arkansas College. Ball is crazy.
Yeah, it never gets old hearing it. Your head coach for the Arkansas Razorbacks, John Calipari. Like, it does not get old.
Yeah, it's still weird. Shout out to Shargensoft for Super Chat. Appreciates the Sam Pittman getting canned is high on my list. Well, I mean, it's I get it, but at the same time, it's like it was coming off of a terrible game against Notre Dame, and I don't know. It's like, but I get it.
I can't say that it's high on my list. Like, I thought it was time for Sam Pittman to get fired and all that, but I definitely that day wasn't like, yes, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I was sad that day.
Yeah, it wasn't a good moment. It was a moment that I think people were like glad that it was kind of finally over in a way, but it was like not a happy moment by any stretch. Kingsley says this was also the year that began with the undying rivalry between John and Wamos. Well, yeah, it wasn't just me. It was a crazy thing that was fun because did we take them? I'm trying to think, didn't we take Wamos some other time?
We took like 4 or 5, I feel like, over the course of the week.
Right, but after San Francisco, why am I thinking that we took a Wamos somewhere?
I don't know.
I may be tripping.
Did you see that Wamos killed a pet recently?
I did not.
There was a huge controversy because I think like someone's cat got run over by a Waymo or whatever. And people were like, you know, we should ban this or whatever. And I'm like, honestly, I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah. Was it Omaha that had Waymos? Is that what we did?
I don't remember any Waymos in Omaha.
And I said, I'm just probably making things up as I go along. So let's see a few more here. How about this from John Sullivan? It's interesting. He said Quincy coming back might be the biggest Razorback moment.
I would honestly, this is not a crazy take at all, especially because like it also went hand in hand with Silverfield's opening press conference, which not that I would declare the best moment, but like given that day of celebration and all that, it's about as close to optimism as we've gotten all year on football. Yeah,
I know. Exactly. Let's see. Also, James Tucker says the Coach Cal smirk at Rupp is my number one. That was pretty great.
I like the look of confusion on his face when he's kind of just like looking around, like at everybody booing him. And he's like, huh, okay.
Yeah, that was, again, one of those moments. I know there's so many to come back from, but like you always bring up where the 100 cameras and posse were just there watching Cal, and Mark Pope just awkwardly standing there waiting for them to go through so they could just shake hands. That was wild, man.
That also gave us Billy, stop it. That was that day too. That was another classic.
Yep. And then what was it, the Vice documentary when he said after the game and he's sitting there in the locker room, he's like for Z, for Adu, was it Z for Adu for DJ? And everyone's like, he's like, and me. He's like sitting there. It's like it was awesome. Shout out to Jacob for being a new member. Appreciate you, Jacob, for coming a member here at an insider of Arkansas, which will have some members only streams starting up in the new year, folks. Be sure to be on the lookout for that. Let's see. Also, Phil saying, not saying it was better, but Devo versus Kansas might be my top basketball moment. Are you talking about ever or
like individual performances? Maybe so. Yeah. As I say, I don't think. I mean, listen, that's a perfectly fine way to like just be like, hey, this is my favorite performance. You know, that's perfectly fine. There's plenty of those that you can go. I mean, I'm trying to think because I would say McFadden LSU. That's probably my favorite individual football performance.
Yeah, that or Matt Jones, Miracle on Markham type stuff. Taking over there could be
The
in
3
there.
minutes where Matt Jones turned into Peyton Manning.
Yes. Just instead of doing that earlier in the game. Kelku says, now Davalon breaking down on the field was the heartbreaking moment of the season. Yeah, that was tough. Like, again, I don't want to rewatch any of that stuff because all of that was very sad. But this is also a good point from Finch, though. He says, Justin Thomas is, in fact, the March Madness Carter Knox of the College World Series. Because that was another thing, too. The 9-hole hitter, which shout out to Arkansas baseball, because I think that's when I knew they were good, is when I saw the entire lineup that batted over 300 pretty much the whole year, which was great. But yeah, Justin Thomas he was the offense as good as anybody there, just getting it done. That was awesome.
I mean, had Arkansas not done what they did in the bottom half, he would have been the guy that would have had the game-winning go-ahead drive RBI. I mean, I think he had 3 hits in that game too. Like, he was awesome. If Arkansas wins that game, we would have been on the post-game show being like, Justin Thomas, put him in stone. This is a history-making performance. Like, it would have been that. I'm dying to talk to Justin about that and be like, have you thought about that? Of like, you would have been the hero that day, and instead you couldn't even celebrate your good game because the season ended.
Yeah, that was tough. Which, by the way, intern Cameron's on with us, and I told him, I was like, I want to get his thoughts on what he felt like, because I know he's a baseball guy like you, but Cameron, come on here with us, man. I know that you've been celebrating post birthday and coming out of the illness, but was Gage Wood your favorite Razorback moment?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I was also there like you guys. I also want to say that a moment that I remembered was whenever the foul ball went near Andrew Fisher and he decided to throw it back into the stands and the fans threw it back at him.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was a legendary moment.
Yeah, that was good. There's a lot of those moments for baseball, man. They had it going on, but yeah, that was fun. Yeah, just the whole run there for postseason and being a part of it. And also, shout out to like Hog Heaven House, man, for letting us stay up there and in Omaha and be able to go in and check it all out and see what Omaha has to offer. Because that was another thing too, is really nice. There was only one other SEC school there, so the fans weren't just overly obnoxious everywhere. It's like
I was surrounded by Murray State fans for that game, and I heard them chirping around me. They're like, "This is SEC bias," as he's throwing the no-hitter. I'm like, "What are you even talking about, dude?"
Swings and misses are hard to have bias involved in them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I want to say there was some Murray State fans that, I guess it was the one where they called it to where he leaned into the pitch or whatever.
Yeah.
Which was a little controversial, but then everybody was like, "Oh, that's terrible." Like, the SEC bias coming out. Like, yeah, that was tough. Let's see. Also, I want to bring this up too, because Seth said at the beginning, he says Curtis posted for the mid-morning Diet Coke Club today. Prayers up for Wesley. So, yeah, that's why. Because again, I never like saying anything unless they want it. But Curtis putting it out, yeah. So that's why Curtis isn't on the show. Just had some stuff happening with Wesley, but all's good. So he just, it's a late night for him and Michelle. So glad everything's going okay, and just needing some time to recap and relax and get back after it. So, but yeah.
I mean, listen, it's one of those things where, like, the actual reality of like the medical side of it, of like what was going on, nothing crazy or anything, but that moment is not any less scary when you don't know what's going on and you have to take the baby to the hospital. And, it's whether it's a dog, whether it's your son, whether it's whatever, when you're like watching doctors do stuff to your child, what you can see, your son, like that's a scary moment. Even if the result is he's perfectly fine and he's the most healthy thing of all time, like no matter what, that is like a heartbreaking, like horrible moment to live through. And I do not envy that at all. And I hope Curtis is getting some rest, man, because he definitely, if any of us deserve it, I'd say Curtis deserves some rest as we get ready to open up SEC play.
Yep, for sure. And we're not going to be on the air tomorrow, folks. It's the new year. It's a New Year's Day. So we'll be back here on Friday. And portal season, SEC basketball, it's just going to be taken off from then on out. So, but also I wanted to bring this up because this is something that I wouldn't say it's like a top moment as far as surpassing anything else, but didn't you get some love over to Bree Ellis and what she was able to accomplish this softball season? Because that was an incredible, dominating. I mean, it just seemed like every game she was just hitting homers and walking it off and crazy. Because what was it? I forgot which game it was in postseason where she got walked every single
Georgia
at bat. Yeah.
Yeah. Every at bat of the game until the last one when the bases were loaded and they didn't have a choice but to pitch to her. And it's home run like first pitch. Yep.
Yep. That was awesome.
Can anybody in the chat or on this panel produce the name of the tennis player for Arkansas women's tennis that won the Player of the Year award? Because I believe there was a woman, because I think Arkansas has 4. Yeah. You've got both. You have the baseball, softball, Vahiva Aloy and Brie Ellis, both National Player of the Year in their sport. You have Jordan Anthony, of course, as the track Heisman. And I want to say there is a tennis player, a woman who won the Player of the Year in her sport as well.
I think that you're right, and it's going to bother me because I should know that. Was it
like a 3 name too? I feel like.
I mean, yeah, that's gonna. I know what you're talking about too. I do know what you're talking about, but yeah, somebody might be able.
Maybe
to
it was women's golf. Women's golf, I think, is what I'm being told.
Okay, women's golf. That makes more sense because like, dude, if it was tennis, I feel like was it Maria Jose Marin?
I think that is exactly it.
Okay, yeah, she won SEC Player of the Year and NCAA Individual Champion, and earning the Honda Award for golf as well. Yeah. So
I mean, listen, 4 separate sports where Arkansas had the literal best player in the country.
Yes,
I get it. We'd rather football, basketball, but it's like that's special.
Yeah, that is incredible. Also, too, shout out to our guy Derek Garduno. He says, "Hey guys, Derek Garduno here. He says, loving the show, still here and doing good. Happy New Year and looking forward to seeing what the Hogs do. Baseball, football, basketball, football, baseball. Thanks for all you do. Still watching. Glad you're doing well, man."
Hey, who do we have to talk to get Derek as the fighter of the game on midcourt at Bud Walton?
Yeah. I feel like since it's sponsored by the Children's Hospital, they probably stick to. I assume so, but yeah, they should find something else for making Derek Garduno that. Yeah, make him the fighter of the day or fighter of the week, however it is. But yeah, for sure. But no, we're glad you're doing well, Derek, and glad you're fighting, still continuing to fight, man. It's good having you as a supporter here of Inside Arkansas. There was another chat that. Oh yeah, so this one's from BC Chevy. Says, did y'all see the Kane Archer interview? Only halfway through it, but seems like he still wants to be a Hog, but they haven't contacted him at all. I have not seen it. I guess it was on with him and Peyton Hillis in Picture Nation, but yeah,
of it. I think he was talking about how Silverfield's doing the right things by going with the in-state kids, and then it kind of cut off there. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, whoops. I didn't see it, but I feel like we have to stop talking about this because signing day has come and gone, and he's going to go to Utah. And will he one day be a Hog? I don't know, but it's like at this point, I do not think Ryan Silverfield is in the wrong for not reaching out to Kane Archer. Like, no, we're all doing our own thing over here. Like, I think Silverfield will be okay.
Yes, absolutely. Also, in NWA Sportsman, do we get a final no slander list for 2025 going into 2026? I know it was recapped not long ago, but any updates? I don't think so. I guess, do I need to restart it? Like, maybe that's what I do is I restart it in 2026.
Yeah, maybe we could start fresh.
Yeah,
people aren't as obsessed with Hudson Clark anymore. So
yeah, exactly. But here's the list that I got. If I can show it to you. So Trevin Brazil, Ryder Helfrich, Charles Davon, Landon Jackson, Daniel Shee, and DJ Wagner are the ones that are on the list.
So maybe we start fresh. And do we want to just go ahead and throw Trevin and DJ on there?
Yeah, because they're still Razorbacks, and they're going to be.
We'll remove Charles Davallon. Now, that does not mean that you guys can now slander him. It just means like, hey, we're moving forward. And it's like, I don't think people, frankly, are slandering him. So I don't, there has to be a supply and demand. There has to be slander for us to put someone on the no slander list.
Exactly.
That's right. I don't even remember why I put Daniel Shee on there. I don't know who was doing.
Oh, it was because of the Sam Pittman thing. It was whenever you remember when Sam Pittman kind of slandered him a little bit.
That's right. Also, I'm putting Ryder Helfrich back on there too. So because
you were sitting there thinking, you were like, low key, we should be slandering Daniel Shee.
It's like Daniel Shee deserves it, whatever it is. So
slander list.
That must be has to be a typo. There's no way.
There's no way I wrote that. So that's the update. We'll keep it at that. And then if anybody gets out of hand and out of control and starts hating on people, certain players or anything like that, we'll add it to the list and we'll keep you updated on it. I know we just got a few minutes here before we roll out of here, but do you guys do New Year's resolutions? That's ever a thing for you? Or do you just kind of go along with it and say, it's whatever?
I don't have New Year's resolutions. Like, I don't really do the thing where I write stuff down. Every now and then I do like to kind of certain, like just things I want to be mindful of, or, maybe I'll just go in with a fresh attitude or whatever, but I don't like write things down and like have goals or anything like that, but maybe I should.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really ever think about it that much. I mean, if I need to do something better, I'll just think about doing it better. I don't need like a better person to refresh myself.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that's kind of how I always felt about New Year's resolutions too. It's like, I get in theory and it's great if that's what you want to do, but it's also like, I don't know, like a new year doesn't change a whole lot, like individually for person. Like maybe it changes stuff for companies, maybe it changes stuff for other things. But like you said, it's like it's like, well, I'm gonna get going here at January 1st. So if it's like weight loss and diet, it's like, but I'm just gonna gorge myself the next 2 days, and then I'll for sure do it on January 1st. Like I just don't know. But either way, I don't know. I just think it's funny when there's New Year's resolutions put out there. Some of them good, some of them not so good. But either way, it's still something I know a lot of people do. And I'll say this, because before we roll out of here, if you're going to be celebrating tonight, celebrate responsibly. Have Ubers. If you're in the area where there's a Waymo, do that. Just don't drink and drive. Behave yourself. I know there's a lot of people out there celebrating, and do it in style. Have some fun with it, but be safe, be smart, and make sure you have plans in place in case any of those things happen.
Yeah, I like that. I think I don't know if I've ever spoken about this publicly, but I think I might be patrolling the roads tonight, John. Might be I think I'm going to make a lot of money tonight is what I'm going to do. So if you're on the square in Fayetteville and you need an Uber, there's a chance you might hop in my car.
So there you go. So there's your motivation to call an Uber. Your incentive is maybe Andrew get you a ride over there too. But
we're live bombastic with guests behind you.
Yeah, it'd be what was it the James Corden carpool karaoke? But it'll just be like it's like or getting coffee with comedians or whatever with Andrew. Like doing it on New Year's. So that'll be great. But Cameron, you got plans?
No. Well, actually, no. I do have some plans. Stranger Things last episode comes out tonight.
Are you gonna go see it in theaters?
If I do my COVID test and make sure I don't have.
Fair enough. Yeah, maybe stay at home for this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
All right. Well,
I'll just watch it at home.
There you go. Well, I guess I was like, I think that may have been what we were saying. But hey, any final thoughts of the final show of the year 2025, guys?
No, other than get those New Year's resolutions and make sure you accomplish everything on your goal, because there's nothing worse than saying you're going to do something and not doing it, which is why I don't really do New Year's resolutions, because I'm like, I don't want to set myself up for a small failure there or whatever. But hey, if you're into that sort of thing, go in with the right mindset. Seriously, everyone stay safe tonight, because I know New Year's Eve is a very big out on the town, having fun, doing whatever. But stay safe, stay curious, my friends, and woo pig. We will see you not tomorrow, but Friday, and let's make 2026 even better than 2025. The Hogs can help us with that, but let's do it.
Yep. Happy New Year's to everybody. We are officially Carson Wiggins days away from baseball season, so get ready for it.
There you go. Yeah, and appreciate everybody subscribing, hanging out with us each and every day. Said 2026 is going to be a great one, and the next time you see us, it's going to be guns blazing, hitting the ground running, crazy stuff going to be happening. So just be sure you are prepared by subscribing to us here at Inside Arkansas, hitting that bell up there to make sure that anytime we go live, you get notified about it on your mobile device. And be sure to check us out on social media, audio podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. Transfer portal with Inside Arkansas Recruiting with Dudley. You make sure you subscribe that way too. A lot of great things going to be happening in 2026, and we can't wait to have you all be a part of it. So that'll do it for us today. For intern Cameron, as well as Andrew Ellis, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel next year. We'll see you then, folks. Have a great rest of your day, and have a safe New Year's Eve into the New Year's Day holiday.